In a massive operation, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has sealed over 3,000 drug shops in Lagos and confiscated 24 truckloads of fake drugs in Anambra and Abia states. According to Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, Director General of NAFDAC, the agency has discovered 2 massive warehouses stocked with fake and expired medicines in Aba, Idumota, and Onitsha. The seized items include expired potassium chloride, allergy medications, immune boosters, and cholesterol treatments.
Now, according to NAFDAC, the seized items, which also include cocodamol and counterfeit GSK ampy clocks, were swiftly evacuated in an ongoing crackdown on the illegal trade, which has led to the arrest of several individuals, though the prime suspect remains at large. Joining us this morning to discuss the menace of fake drugs in Nigeria is Public Affairs Analyst, Professor Simeon Nah. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Breakfast Central.
Welcome, viewers.
Now, how significant is the problem of fake drugs in Nigeria today, and the recent incidents we've seen of this Boston, Lagos, Aba, how does it highlight the urgency of addressing it?
Matter of fact, I don't know where to start with, because this has been a recurring decimal. Record in the days of Kunyele. I think she was the first person that made this fake drug an issue, a major issue in Nigeria. And they almost killed her. They shot at her, and thank God for her headgear. The thing pierced her headgear, and it was those people that are dealing on this fake drug that shot her. So it's a thing that the government should think about seriously. And I have a challenge with NAFDAC. The challenge with NAFDAC is that I don't think they're operating with intelligence like the NDLA. You see that each time NDLA will strike, they strike with intelligence, they hit the target and get what they want and move out. But in the case of NAFDAC, they just wake up one morning, move into a place. They don't.
You think it's just random busts?
Yes, it is not the best. Look at the issue in Onitsha now. I learned they went, raided some shops that even the owners of those shops were not there. Raided 5 adjoining markets that are not dealing in drugs. Like people that are dealing in, they say pharmaceutical materials, surgery materials, people that are dealing in carpentry materials, plumbing materials. They went and raided them.
What does that have to do with drugs?
You see, no sane individual will support fake drugs. But when you want to root out people that are on this thing, please do it with precision. Ensure that the people now they shut out the market for how many days now? Since the 9th. And I listened to the DG NAFDAC, and she was saying that they have not even determined when they are going to open those markets. And look at the people that are not involved in fake drugs. What are you doing about them?
And was any laboratory test carried out to determine those drugs are fake?
They have not determined anything. That's what they are now saying, that they want to now find out. They want to do thorough investigation. In fact, she was saying that of Lagos will be opened very soon, which is a political statement as far as I'm concerned, because very soon can be this time next year. But once politicians are talking and they are telling you very soon, they don't mean anything, because you can't pin them down on very soon. And they said that of Aba and Onitsha, they have not even determined when they are going to open those markets. So what we are saying is that yes, they should go and root out those fake drugs, because the fake drug is affecting everybody. You never know who is going to buy the fake drug, where you are going to buy it from. You might say you are going to a big pharmaceutical. Those big pharmaceuticals companies don't manufacture, some of them don't manufacture this drug. They bring them in from Aba, Onitsha, and what have you. So when you say it doesn't concern me, well, one day you get sick and you get to the hospital and you never can tell. They might administer you with the fake drug. So what we are saying in effect is that these people should move with precision. They should be able to, know the people that are on this fake drug, go there and arrest them. Yes. Okay, now they say the people are at large, which means they were not operating with intelligence.
But I think that doesn't, take away the fact that we do have a challenge when it comes to getting quality, correct medication. We have reports of people who have died because they've taken fake medication. I mean, even looking at food, interestingly, just in our makeup room, I have a bag. I bought chin 2 days ago from a certain supermarket, and I didn't realize until I got home and I saw that the manufacturing date and the expiry date was, the manufacturing date reads 10th of May 2025. We're in February.
Wow, you are eating your future
chin. You know, so the manufacturing date reads 10th February and the expiry date reads 2027, which obviously tells me
that chin is using AI.
AI, right? It obviously tells me that is an expired product. And they've just fabricated the date. You know, so what is it that makes it easy for us to be able to, if that check wasn't done, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
So what is it? Would you say it's weak regulations? Or would you say maybe we don't have stronger prosecution? What would you say are the factors that are ensuring that we have problems like this?
There are so many factors. You've highlighted some. Some of them are, I don't think they have adequate staff to go around some of these shops to find out these things, because you see, it's easy to stay in the office and give a NAFDAC number, give a license to somebody, he pays for it and walks away. What he does with that number, you don't know. Experience has shown that they use that number for so many other products outside the product that NAFDAC has registered. So I think they don't have enough staff to move around to check some of this, and that's what I feel. One. Secondly, weak regulation, because at the end of the day, I recall that in 2025 now, 2023, they raided Aba, one market in Aba that is called Cemetery Market, for fake production of drinks, beverages, and hot drinks. Now, how many people were persecuted? That's the issue. They raided that market. We saw loads of shops that were, bottling these drinks in Aba, and these are fake drinks that they were bottling there. Now, how many people were arrested? How many of them were persecuted? How many of them are in jail? These are the issues. So there are weak regulations. These people just go there. I don't want to say they collect something from them and walk away. They just come and show us the things on television. How can you tell me that you went to a warehouse where you discover 300 and something thousand cartons of drugs and you don't know who owns that place?
And that brings me to my question, because when it's at that warehouse, I mean, it's gone to pharmacies across the country. There are distribution channels. How can we get to the source of it? If you are sure these are fake drugs, how do we nip it at the bud? That's why you suggested an intelligence-driven operation.
While I was sitting down there, something was running around my brain. And that is that we have agencies that have overlapping functions. Why don't you remove this drug administration and add it to NDLA? That's what I was feeling down there. I said, look, we have organizations that have overlapping functions. If you
standards organization of Nigeria.
If you ask them now, they will tell you, this one is drug administration. No, drug is drug, my brother. Except you are now trying to, build some mountains out of a molehill. After all, you see, that's why they are doing better out there. Let me give you one example outside this. I had a workshop for one organization in the aviation industry. And that was when we were looking at Electropolis. And I said, look, outside here, in US, in Canada, the agencies that are in charge of accidents are one: road, sea, and air. But here, you have for A, you have for C, you have... I don't know, why are we duplicating these functions? Look at the accident that they had in US yesterday. He said the accident investigation has said this, and that accident investigation covers road, covers rail, covers air.
Maybe we need a department of government efficiency.
As far as this is concerned, I'm looking at the situation where they remove drug administration, add it to NDLA, and let them face food, and what have you.
That's an option. Let's also talk about we as citizens and the role that we have to play in ensuring that, this is not a challenge that we have to deal with in another decade. We're seeing the NDLEA that you mentioned, we have 14 million Nigerians that have become hooked on substance abuse. NAFDAC is making these bust fake drugs. And I don't know that citizens understand the depth of the implication of purchasing fake drugs. People still, I mean, we've seen a reduced element of it, or maybe I'm speaking because I'm not in the heart of the mainland. Certain parts of the country, I'm sure, I mean, growing up, we used to see chemists. People will buy, when you're sick, you go and buy from chemists. Even like malams that sell painkillers, over-the-counter medication. So what role do the citizens have to play in ensuring that we do not continue to have situations like this? And is there also a role that maybe the National Orientation Agency has to play in terms of sensitizing citizens on the implication of fake drugs?
Do you have national orientation? I think that thing has been dead since the era of MAMSA, where what's his name again? I remember his name. That was a time that agency was functioning when it was MAMSA.
Under Babangida.
Yeah. Can I remember? Why am I forgetting this guy's name? Okay. Now, after him, and we came to this national orientation, I don't think they're doing anything. If you ask them, they'll tell you budget this, budget that. They don't have enough budget to do this. They don't have enough budget to do that. And again, we are talking of the role of citizens. The whistleblowing policy in Nigeria doesn't work. That's the issue. People have whistleblown, and at the end of the day, they are the people that are going to jail. You see, so there are issues.
You blow the whistle, another person blows the whistle.
There are issues here and there. You blow the whistle, they turn it around. Before you know it, you are in trouble. So people are scared. You report to police, and police will go and tell the person, this is the person that reported you, and they start hunting the person.
So we need to ensure that we have the whistleblower policy.
That is it.
Checked and tightened.
Tightened so that when somebody blows the whistle, he doesn't become the whistle himself.
How about us as a people, like Olive said, searching your conscience? Because if you give a baby fake drugs, it's almost a death sentence. It's as good as putting a gun to their head. If you look at Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, it's even on the visas that, look, drug trafficking comes with a death sentence. Some have suggested that until, because these things kill, fake drugs kill. I have a family friend, she took fake medicine and has condition deteriorated faster, and she died before her time. So some have suggested the death penalty as a way to discourage people from dealing in counterfeit drugs. What are your thoughts on that?
Some countries have, like you mentioned, and I can tell you for free, Germany, for instance, if they catch you on fake drugs or trafficking in drugs, you know what they do? They inject you and let you go. You go and die. It's as simple as that. So it's the same thing with I know one or two people in Nigeria here that carried drugs to Germany. They were caught. They were injected. They came here. When they finished their money, they could maintain themselves again. They just died. They wasted all the whole money they have gotten on earth, and they died. So if Nigeria will bring a policy where when you traffic on fake drugs, and you know that these things are dangerous, you buy people now, at the end of the day, and you see, one of the things that make people do this is that some of the people in government even take these drugs. Some of the people in government have gone to rehab. So what are we saying here? And so when they look at this, they go, okay, this one has gone to rehab, now he's a governor, now he's a this, now he's a senator, he's the other one, he's the other one. So at the end of the day, there are no laws to check these things. That's what we're saying. So if we had issues that, okay, if you have gone to rehab as a result of drugs, you can't hold any political position in this country.
If there were consequences.
There are no consequences at all.
That's for hard drugs, not medication.
No, for hard drugs. Okay. No, we are looking at it holistically. Okay. I don't know whether I'm separating the two. That was why I said drug and drug abuse. And when you talk of drug abuse, it includes hard drugs.
I mean, it's a lot. Even coming down to all those mamas that sell agbo that don't understand what they are mixing. They mix different things to you, and they give you. There are people that will tell you that, if I'm sick, don't take me to the hospital. Just mix agbo. That is not to say that native medicine doesn't work, but sometimes because you cannot guarantee the dosage, the quality, you just take it, and at the end of the day, I mean. Professor Simeon, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the show. We look forward to not having conversations like this. It's very heartbreaking to keep talking about these conversations over and over again. But I would say well done to NAFDAC for the bust. We look forward to seeing more and more people being exposed, but not just exposed, being prosecuted as deterrent to ensure that we don't keep going over the same cycles.
Yeah, welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's time for us to find out what big stories are making headlines in today's dailies. And join us for this is Public Affairs Analyst Sesan Okunade. Well, welcome to you, Sesan, and thanks for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning.
Yeah, good morning, Binga. Good morning, Oli.
Good morning.
Nice to have you back. The last
I've been
time
back
I saw you,
I've been back since. So, in fact,
yeah, it's
my vacation has expired at this point.
Yeah, but I have not seen you since you came back from vacation.
Yes, I haven't seen you as well.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. So much has happened since we last saw, and especially in the last few days.
I mean, a week in Nigerian politics is...
You miss a week.
In fact, a day.
Yes.
You are not
one drama.
I go on holiday and I come back and I see, I'm like, when did this one happen? When? Just 24 hours and a lot has happened.
Once they were done with the Obasa impeachment, we thought that was it.
That was it.
Come back as an ordinary member. But
and be like, whatever we do.
Since season 1, season 2. But let's start with
the season is just starting.
Yes. Let's start with the review of the newspapers. We'll start with Daily Independent. And the headline there, I like this one. Politicians will behave well when you reject bad behavior, says former President Goodluck Jonathan.
No lies told, though.
And a forced deployment of military for elections. Yes, we've been conducting elections since 1999. And even when we have off-cycle elections, they are so eager to say we've deployed X thousand numbers of military to... I mean, this is a civil exercise. We're not fighting war. So I really like the Democrats in former President Jonathan. Lessons to be learned here. We'll come back to it. 35-year-old jinx broken as FG conditions NDLEA barracks. Wow. So they didn't have barracks since they used to come from home. Work from home. Interesting. Now there's another headline there. Reps probe INEC over delay in conducting by-elections. And Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission introduces tougher measures to combat electricity theft. And of course, this is on the front of many newspapers, the passing of elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark. Tinubu, Ibori, Jonathan, Atiku, Northern Southern governors mourn Clark. Talks on fuel quality, just drama and bad marketing antics, says Kyari, the NNPC boss. And National Assembly revises 2025 budget, reduces capital expenditure by over 500 billion. What is this yo-yo with the budget? What's going on? But the president is yet to assent to the bill, so we'll see what happens. Now, after rebasing, this is a big one. After rebasing, Nigeria's inflation drops to 24.48% from 34.80%. And we also have FG to facilitate single-digit loans for MSMEs. Positive news there.
All right, let's move on to the next paper. And the next paper this morning is the Punch newspaper. Workers in 109 embassies groan over 6 months unpaid salaries. Ministry promises to clear arrears, ex-envoys kick. John Vance, UK agency, invests $40.5 million to expand Nigeria's cocoa industry. Ukraine protests exclusion as US-Russia race team to end war. Lagos Assembly says Tinubu's wife not involved in crisis. Just to be clear, they've vindicated Rabi Tinubu. Immigration arrests 40 illegal migrants in Oyo. Osun crisis, police go after killers. Local government poll holds on Saturday. At the top of the paper, inflation drop. Experts demand lower interest rate. Dangote's wealth rises to $24 billion after refineries operations. Tinubu, Obasanjo, others mourn as Edwin Clark dies at 97. 54 trillion naira budget. National Assembly raises recurrent vote. Cuts 500 billion naira from capital spending. And that's all on the Punch. And let's take a look at our final paper, the Nigerian Tribune.
And on the Nigerian Tribune, the headline there says, bank directors with non-performing insider loans to resign. CBN orders. Asks banks to regularize loans within 180 days. We also have Jonathan kicks against deployment of military personnel for elections. Nigerian Bureau of Statistics explains why Nigeria's inflation rate falls to 24.48% after rebasing. And 5 days after passage, the National Assembly adjusts portions of 2025 budget, retains 54.99 trillion total. And reps organize public hearing on new tax reform bills next Wednesday and probe INEC over delay in conducting 12 by-elections. That's a huge number. Okay, and 789 ex-terrorists undergoing de-radicalization and rehabilitation program. An appeal court I really can't. Affirms Oba Olaoye as son of Ogbomosho. So even traditional leaders are going to court, politicians are going to court, local government, everybody is just going to court these days. Obaship too, you have to go to court. I thought Obaship was given by the gods.
Well.
And some of the A's and wine.
A's and wines have been restricted in Asaba, so you know. Let's start with the big story on the front page of Daily Independent. Politicians will behave well when we reject bad behavior, says the former president Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. I think, first of all, do you agree with this statement? And if you do, what will rejecting bad behavior look like?
First and foremost, a lot of us have said we have this issue of a value proposition, and that's where we found ourselves this day. A lot of anomalies, shortcomings that have suddenly become norms, that when you do it, and I'll start practically from seeing somebody following one way and putting a military man in front and feels that he has the excuse to follow the one way, and nobody's challenging the status quo. And it becomes a norm. When you even picked him up, the officer is like, let him go. That is someone that should enforce the law. Is carrying it. You see politicians, they part of the bad behaviors who accuse them of is you are in the traffic. Why must you even blow siren?
Yeah.
Why must you kick us off the road? These are issues a lot of us found difficult to ask. How did we get here? You call yourself servant of the people. You have failed in executing certain things, causing bottleneck, and you are still the same set of people that will come on the road, chase people out with your siren. So I feel that Jonathan has been a man I respect so much, even after yielding the floor. At least he's on record that he's the first president that will congratulate the opponent, irrespective of what actually happened. Even he came out with the word to say Nigerians or the politicians, they are not worth sacrificing your blood for. He came out with that statement. So coming out with this, he's been in it, he knows the in and out. And I think our politician needs to be redefining the scope of what we call the good values. With what is happening in America, trying to put such light in so many things that are happening now, I feel we'll start resetting ourselves. If we can get our value,
even understand the powers they have. That's it. Because the way, everybody wants to live like a king. And if I see somebody kowtowing and acting slave-like towards me, of course you continue to live like that until the people demand accountability and say, no, you can't jump this queue, you can't chase us off the road.
Yeah, you see, it's not that we don't know, but just very few. And we have this this idea. If you are in a bus and one person raised the idea to say, sir, you can't follow one way, the remaining 17 passengers, if it's a woman, they will consider you to be a witch. Then what's the problem? Let him go. Can't you see the traffic? It's to tell you that it's not that we don't know the right thing to do, but we have actually metamorphosed into a place where all we want to do is cut corners in all that we do. And that's reducing the value system that we are. And I have this to say. While some of us are growing up, we have some certain subjects being taught in school that speaks to how to behave in the society. We have moral instructions. We have the certain things you should learn. But the problem we have is that who are you learning from? Who are the leaders that you can point to? The current politicians will tell you that they are product of Obafemi Awolowo. They are product of Nnamdi Azikiwe. They are product of Tafawa Balewa. Who among the current politicians can the younger generation quickly adhere to and say, these are the good value we have learned from our leaders and we are following their steps? All we're saying is that a lot of people want to get to power, and what we want to do is live an affluent life that will oppress the people out there, because that's what we know.
I mean, when you give young people opportunities, look at Better Edu, for example, and the way she messed up the slot for young people.
It's an area, because a lot of people have called me that do I have issue personally with Better, and I've asked. Up till now, we saw the beginning of the film. We don't know where we are on it. And don't be surprised with that happened. Come 2027, she might be contesting for a particular
position. We wish her well.
Because that's what we see happening. A lot of things will happen. You just play it down for a while and resurface again. And as Nigerians, we just forget it. And that's why we speak to our value proposition.
We'll come back to the newspaper front pages, but let's hear from Lenin calling from Abuja. Good morning, Lenin.
Good morning, Oli. Good morning, brother.
Morning, Lenin.
Please, I want to talk about this fake drugs, this thing. I want to analyze something. Now, they said they cost 24 containers worth a load of fake drugs, right? Only these drugs will pass from the port or land border, right? In the port, there are custom officers, there are NDLEA, NAFDAC, all the security agencies are there, right? The land border, same thing. Now, if this thing pass from the port, you are not catching them in the market. Who are the people that clear them from the ports? Who are the people that clear them from the land border? So this thing is a systematic line. So you cannot just catch the tail. There's somebody in the head. It's a chain, right? So let's not deceive ourselves. The people in the port are corrupt, just like the person that imported the thing. Now, remember that if you check the news very well, they've been catching people with firearms, importing firearms, numerous firearms. Who are the people? Today, are they published anybody's name? Because all these things, bill of lading, the person name will be there, the company name will be there, and everything. So let's call it a spade. Once you start bringing these people to book, the Nigeria will be good. Thank you, Anabel.
Thank you very much, Lenin. And these are very valid points he raises. Yes. When we are talking about, because before you came in, our conversation was centered on NAFDAC and the busting of illegal drug ports and illegal containers. And the question is, how did these things get into Nigeria? He's raised the valid point. We have customs, we have the land borders, the sea borders. How did they, cross through?
You as an individual, when you come into Nigeria, do you know how many agencies
you have to check? Exactly.
Yes. The issue there is corruption has eaten so deep into our system that it's practically becoming a norm. When you are not part of it, people look at you and say, are you a saint? Some politician will tell you that even the followers will be the one to ask you the question, bros, you are there, you have not brought in anything. And that's why you see the pressure actually mounting. What Lenny said is quite apt to say that a lot of these things will pass some certain, and it's because we lack this consequential management to say there are consequences for wrongdoing. We don't adhere to that. You see a lot of people, it is confirmed that they've stolen our money. They will come back and say, plea bargaining. We are giving you some, and we are taking some. So what happened to those things? But most of the time when you come, they say this democratic setting, we can't go the route of the Asian, where capital punishment is just the way to go. Because you have denied certain set of people. Imagine funds that is meant for the health sector, to develop the health sector, that is not being used.
Yes.
A lot of people are dying because of the failure of what you are supposed to do.
It's not a harmless question.
So you are now being caught, and the next thing is plea bargaining, possibly give 50% and you go with the 50%. All you're doing is just to encourage other people to do it.
Okay, let's get into the paper. I wanted you to speak on what's going on with the Lagos State House of Assembly, especially because I don't know if any of you have seen the purported letter of resignation that is on social media. It's not from the official Lagos State House of Assembly. So it would seem that there are calls from different corners for her to sort of resign, or they're trying to manipulate it by hook or by crook. Lagos Assembly says Tinubu's wife is not involved in crisis. On the one hand, we have that. We have Osun crisis happening at the same time. So it feels like it's like a boat that is moving, and there are different holes on that boat, causing water to get into the boat. Osun crisis, number of lives have been lost. Local government election is happening on Saturday. Police have said that they are going after the killers. We had a guest earlier, and I asked him what his expectation is, because unfortunately, lives of Nigerians have been lost. How can we ensure that those lives are not lost in vain? He said he would hope that those who have perpetrated this or have sponsored this will be apprehended. So, do you have any faith that we'll get to the root of this and that the killers will be apprehended?
Only the fact is, how many of the previous issues like this that it's obvious to us, how many of those that perpetrated that act have actually been punished? These are problems that we have, and that's what, you see, I always refer to this issue of terrorism. You know, the way it started was just a small thing that we should have nipped at the bud. But we left it, and it became a business that people are proud to associate with. And you see wives saying, this is what my husband is doing, he's a kidnapper, he's a terrorist. And that is the same thing we are seeing happening with some of the issues with our politicians. When people go for, you see, you picked some of the guys that are being used. You don't go to the root matter of those that are sponsoring them. Those that are actually perpetrated. When this last election, I don't know, in one particular state, they caught one guy with huge amount of money. You need to juxtapose the guy and the amount of money and ask yourself, can he actually possess this? You know, there is a way you look at individual and say, no, it's
just basic intelligence. You can
so you know that definitely someone actually gave him that funds to go and share with the people. So when you deal with the guy will not even open up to tell you who they are. Even when they open up to tell you, there are ways you cover up some of those things. And that's why we are where we are today. If anybody is telling you that they will bring some of those people to justice, I am saying, my personal view, that will not happen, because we've seen a lot.
But if we continue like this, we are
punish.
having a highly dysfunctional society, and it makes it a free-for-all if there are no consequences for actions. But quickly, because we have just a few minutes before we wrap up, reps probe INEC over delay in conducting by-elections. Some members of some politicians have died in the course of the year, and there's been court judgment. What are the implications of not conducting by-elections on time? And also, Professor Mahmoud did talk about the behemoth that INEC is, saying you conduct an off-cycle election, it's almost like conducting a presidential election in a few West African countries because of how big our population is, and is asked for more funds for INEC. Could this be one of the reasons why we're seeing a delay in the conduct of by-elections?
Yeah, first and foremost, I will ask, calling for probe of this INEC stuff. There are other issues that we feel we should, but you see, the failure of one particular area will give somebody work to do. It's a normal thing. If you are to conduct by-election, you should ask for fund. But you know, most of the time, why you have delay in some of these things is that, have we accounted for the ones that are actually, is it judiciously being put to use?
An audit. Yes.
You know, do you verify, carry out audit exercise of things that have actually happened in time past? If some of those things, if there is no clarity on how you expended the last fund and you're asking for more, I'm sure you know there will be delay in actually disbursing out more funds. And then can we come to, if it's not going to work, because what you are doing is that you are shortchanging those constituencies, those areas where those by-election, they are representatives that are supposed to be either at the National Assembly or at the State House of Assembly because of failure. If they are not there, they are not represented, and they are shortchanging them. And the law has actually brought it out that this by-election must hold. So if you have if they are inviting it, it's what they should do. If we know that having all these side election cost us more, then let's create a law
that will consolidate to say within the specific period, we are going to be having all these by-election. If we have every quarter, we must have one. Every 6 months, every 2 months, we should come with an agreement. If there is no law to back that up, what it stipulates is that if there's a by-election, I think within 90 days, the INEM must carry that out. And we've seen issues where it's lasting longer than necessary, and that's why they are calling for the
So a school of thought has suggested that, because of the delay in disbursing funds from the ministry, the bureaucracy and all of that, that they should have access to funds from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Do you agree with that?
No, I won't want to agree with that, because we don't have a system that thoroughly checked activities that we're doing. We will be opening more doors for... See, this bottleneck on its own has its own plus, if you ask me. Although a lot of people will say you're only opening more doors for other people to eat out of the largesse of what we have in there. But at least everybody starts scrutinizing what is going on, rather than just having individual having direct access to the fund without proper questioning of what it should be. I think the basic thing that we lack, which we have been crying and advocating for, is to have a system that works. Once you can have a system that works, everybody plugged into it. Even when you don't even understand the system will teach you what is expected of you as an individual, and Nigeria will be better off for it.
Okay, let's quickly bring in our correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudu, who's in Katsina. There's been reports of a bombing that may or may not have occurred. We want Emmanuel Bagudu to give us direct details. Good morning, Emmanuel. Where are you, and what is the update regarding the bombing that was announced?
Hello, Emmanuel. Are you there?
All right. Before we are able to connect to Emmanuel, I want you to speak to this.
At Sakatao, here in the Safana local government area. I'm just like 3 kilometers away from the scene of the air mishap. And of course, I'm in front of the local vigilante's office, who are actually going to take me to that particular venue. But of course, on my way coming down here, of course, all communities around here have been, Seaward, right? Yeah, Seaward, of course, where it has happened. Of course, surrounding communities here have been ransacked by bandits, and of course, they have been taken away from their communities. Just behind me, of course, is where the Air Force mishap happened, and of course, the families affected are soon going to come out, to speak to me. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any
updates from the Air
regarding
Force? Yes.
Exactly?
Has there been any statements from the Nigerian Air Force regarding this incident?
Yes. There is a statement. Of course, the statement shows that there is an investigation. The Air Force has ordered an investigation into the scene, to the Air Force mishap. Of course, the vigilante here told us that they receive an intel that they are going to receive a delegation of the Air Force coming down here, to come and investigate what happened. So, of course, they have said they are going to make a valid statement after that investigation. But they have expressed worry about what had already happened here in Zakat ward. Yeah.
Do we also have any reports from the families of the bereaved, the civilians who were unfortunately killed? Because this is not the first time that we're hearing of accidental bombing. So have you spoken to them, or maybe you intend to speak to them at some point? All right.
Yes. A family of 6 was wiped out, and then one other person, to a total of 7. Yeah, making it a total of 7. So, of course, we are yet to meet the families. Of course, it's still early. We just arrived very early, and of course, the vigilantes and the local security are going around, to pick up those who have been injured, those who have been affected, the bereaved, the ones left alive, to come and speak to us about what really happened. And then, of course, those who are injured. All details will be given to us in a few minutes' time as we just approach the community. This is Zakar ward, located here in the Safana local government area of Katsina State, and the communities affected are Yoni. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for bringing us.
Of course, there's a bandit camp there, which is yet to be, they are yet to be disseminated by the military.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for bringing us the update. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the families of the bereaved, unfortunately. Let's come back into the studio and have you quickly react to that before we leave. This is not the first, second, or third time we're hearing about accidental bombings of civilians.
Well, it will go back to this idea of saying that those that have happened in time past have much of punishment have we actually...
They would argue that it's collateral damage. They would tell you that they've done
that's a hot spot for bandits.
That the bandits have interwoven themselves with the civilians. These are the reports that we
minimize such incidents?
We understand all those semantics and the grammar that they keep saying, but we can't continue hiding under the premise that we need to deal with the bandits and allow... we've asked that there should be more sensitization on the part of even some of these bandits. But what we've seen is that the populace on their own tends to find solace in the hands of the bandits. So you discover that they provide information for them, and that's what is quite worrisome. If you can't provide food as government to the people at the struggle, and somebody is providing those food for you to eat at every one in time, who do you give those information to? We've read about this, we've seen some of these things happening, and that's why we're of the opinion that a lot of people at the IDP even suffers much more than the people that will are actually being caught to be terrorists and the other people. So we've asked, it should not be an idea of you giving preference to some of these terrorists. A lot of us have said it that when you get hold of them, you say you want to reintegrate them back into the system. It doesn't work that way because they've actually acted funny. Can we just use them, reduce their numbers so that it will serve as deterrent to others? Right. But it may sound a bit hard. But I feel that
you don't believe in de-radicalization.
I don't know about if that sounds a bit hard because these people have committed so much atrocities, and a number of Nigerians agree with this position. From what you hear all
back
the time,
and say you are using taxpayers' money to reintegrate them back
especially
into
because
the system.
we will find that if those in the East would argue, the IPOB advocates would argue that you're not giving them the same treatment that you're giving the terrorists.
So for me, if we get hold of them and we discover that you perform one act, even as informant, we should just make you face the consequence and we'll move on.
It's unfortunate updates that we have. Sesan Okunade, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Breakfast.
It's a pleasure to start the make very quick.
All right, we have more segments to come. We'll be looking at NAFDAC when it comes to which way Nigeria. And of course, we're still going to be talking about the report by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics looking at the inflation rates and what this might mean. Stay with us.